Hey guys, this is the Thinking with Mathematical Models Test 1 revisions video for Learning Target 4. And this video is going to review writing a linear equation given key information about the graph. So we know a linear equation is y equals mx plus b. In order to write our linear equation, we need to know what the slope of our graph is, which is m, and we need to know what the y-intercept of our graph is. That's our b. And once we have these two values, we can plug them in for these two letters, and that'll write our equation. So one situation that we have is when I give you the slope and a point that's on the line. So as I said before, we need to know what the slope equals, which we already know it's 7 because I gave it to you, and the y-intercept, which I did not give you in this problem. So we have to find it. So I'm going to use a table to help me find this, because I know a point on a line represents an x value and a y value. So to start my table off, I'm going to include x of 0. That's the point we're looking for. Whenever x is 0, our y value is our y-intercept. Now the point I have is when x is 1, y is 2. And our slope is 7 is the other information I have. Now our slope tells us the pattern of change. Every time our x value goes up by 1, our y value goes up by 7 because our slope is 7. So this next y value would be 9. But this isn't the direction I want to go. I want to work backwards because I want to know when x is 0. So if I think backwards, I know that this y value would have to be -5 because -5 plus 7 is 2. So now we found our y-intercept. When x is 0, our y value is -5. So our y-intercept is -5. So to write our equation, we have y equals mx plus b. Our m is 7, so y equals 7x. And our b is -5, so -5. Another situation that we have for writing equations is when I give you a graph. So on the graph, I just need to visually find the y-intercept and the slope. So the y-intercept is wherever my graph crosses the y-axis. So this point right here is at a +3, and that's where my graph crosses the y-axis, so I know my y-intercept is a +3. My slope is always rise over run. So I know from one point to the left, and I always want to work left to right, I know I'm going up 3, so my rise is a +3, and then right 4, so my run is a +4. So since slope is rise over run, my slope is 3/4. So now that I have those two pieces of information, I can just plug them into my equation. Y equals 3/4x plus 3. The 3/4 is where the m goes, my slope. The 3 is where my b goes, my y-intercept. The last type that we have is when we have a line that we're trying to write the equation of, but we only have 2 points that are on the line. So I haven't given you the slope or the y-intercept, so we have to find both of those pieces of information. So since we know 2 points, we can use our slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to label my x1, my y1, my x2, and my y2. And now I can just replace those pieces in my formula. My y2 was a 1, my y1 is a -7, my x2 is a -2, and my x1 is a 2. So looking at these, I know 1 subtract a negative 7. When I subtract a negative, it becomes positive. So that is 8 over negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. So I need to simplify this fraction. I know 8 over 4 is just 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. But one of my numbers is negative, so I know this is going to be a negative 2. So this is my slope. This is important. And now I need my y-intercept. So now I can do the exact same process I did when I gave you the slope and a point. So I'm going to use a table. X, y, and I'm going to start my table at negative 2 because I noticed one of my points starts at a negative 2 for x, and then I'm going to go to negative 1 and then 0, and then I'm going to stop there because I care about 0. I don't need to fill in more of a table than I need to. I want to know when x is 0 what my y value is so I can find my y-intercept. So looking at my slope says that I'm going down 2 every time. So in my table, when x was negative 2, so I'm looking right here, when x was negative 2, y was 1. And then my slope tells me the pattern of change is that I'm going down 2 in my y values every time I'm going up 1 in my x values. So I'm going down 2 each time. So 1 subtract 2 is negative 1. And then I need to subtract another 2, and that is negative 3. So that helped us find our y-intercept. So whenever x is 0, the y-intercept, or the y value is my y-intercept. So now I know my slope is negative 2. My y-intercept is negative 3. So now I just need to put them in the correct places in my formula. So instead of m, I'm putting a negative 2 since that's my slope. And instead of the b, I'm putting subtract 3 since that's my y-intercept.